Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. We're actually in Arizona today, Tucson, and we were hoping to fly back last night, and our flight got canceled, so we're hung out here at the hotel, probably half a mile from the airport. So if you hear some planes and jets, and we've been having some military jets do maneuvers around us this morning, kind of interesting watching that. But anyway, so we'll be going home tomorrow, but had a few minutes, and Jan had put together a list of questions from you folks on YouTube, and so she was going to go ahead and fire some of those at me. We're just going to have a discussion today talking about some of those. So what's up, honey?
Well, first off, just sitting here at this lovely fountain, and I don't know, because I am kind of in the pollinators, but sitting here watching hummingbirds and moths and bees flying in and out of that fountain getting drinks of water. So I think that's pretty cool that the folks out here in the Southwest, I know it's like water that might be wasted, but you're actually could be watering some critters out here. And there's a lot of things blooming right now.
There's crazy. Remember a couple of days ago we went with my sisters over to, was that the botanical garden? Botanical garden. My goodness. I've never seen so many plants blooming in the desert, and the birds. Right. There was all kinds of birds in there. But pretty anyway, cool place.
So we're going to start off, and we're going to do a little different format. I've tried to pull together questions from same videos instead of jumping all over the place.
Okay.
So it might help people. I don't have the number. You've gone through and numbered the videos?
So, no, only the first like 45 or 50.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah. Well, but the title of this video that was, "We have doubled the grazing land on leased farming by dozing off thorn trees and cedars." So if that will help you all see what the video was that these questions came from, so maybe we'll down the line. So
that was the title of the video you're going to be bringing. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So missed or did not recall the remedy for broom sedge: raise pH for better fertility, create a better environment for legumes.
Yeah, so if you're buying a farm, or you've got a farm, typically if you have a lot of broom sedge, that's a sign of very low fertility, and broom sedge thrives in very low pH, and that can be brought on by people putting up hay. So in Missouri, especially in our area, we've got 1 to 2 inches of topsoil. That's kind of what we're dealing with. And if you put hay up on that land and don't put down any lime or fertilizer for as little as 1 year, in other words, you took hay off and didn't put anything back, the next summer that field's going to be probably 25 to 30% broom sedge. It moves in that quick. And if you go 2 or 3 years, I've taken over farms, Jan and I have, that have been 100% broom sedge, and that's farms that just keep getting the hay taken off them every single year with nothing being put back. Folks, that's a great way, what we call a soil bankruptcy farm. So how do you heal that? Well, you got to put down some lime. You got to get that pH up. You got to get the animals in there and start trampling at extremely high stocking density. Get some of that, what we call carbon or litter, trampled on the ground. That's going to help you a ton. And then, before I got started though, the first thing I'd do, I'd take a soil test. That just gives you a really good entry point on what you started with. If you don't take a soil test and you go out there and just say you throw down 3 tons of lime per acre, you're not going to know where you started from. You may be at a pH of 4.8. I'll tell you this, if you have a pH is down in the 5s and you can't get it up to 6, you're not going to grow very much feed on there for livestock. You've got to, when I say feed, I'm talking about good forage. You've got to get it up to 6 to get clovers going. I mean, it may need a little bit of phosphorus to kind of get it jump started. But unrolling hay on it, that's a big one. We focus on those fields where we see some broom sedge, and we'll put cattle in there at extremely high stocking densities in the wintertime and unroll hay. And boy, I mean, broom sedge hates that. It hates having fertility spread on its little head. So those are some tips I would give you for working on broom sedge.
And you would let the cattle graze in there while you're doing all that?
Yeah, I would rotate animals through it. I don't put them on broom sedge and just leave them. They'll starve to death. I'll never forget, on my lifetime lease farm in 1999, first farm we got, I fenced a broom sedge hay field. We put cows in there. And this is a big, 25 acre field. Those cows went around that field and they looked at me like, what are we supposed to eat? It was all broom sedge, the whole thing. And I'm like, well, girls, that's all there is. And it was a drought. And so I put them in there and started rotating them. We had one water point on it. And we brought in some lick tubs. So we gave them some Elassa lick tubs because that broom sedge didn't have enough energy in it to even keep a cow alive, okay? So you can put a supplement in there like a lick tub and they will eat that broom sedge, and that's gonna keep them from losing weight. You don't want your animals losing weight.
So that's adding protein to the fiber.
Yep, it allows them to break the broom sedge down, and it's got some energy in it too. It's got energy and protein both.
Okay, that's good. Do you manage hunting property differently? Do you create food plots or buck bedding areas? Or do you leave lower quality trees for the deer that are good for the deer?
Yeah, so we're constantly looking at areas where timber, let's just say this is the field and this is the timber, where the timber meets the edge of the field. We go into this timber and we'll start thinning that, and that's called edge habitat. So the more edge habitat, it's a transition zone, folks, from heavy timber to not so heavy to pasture. That's where your animals hang out, the deer and the turkey. In Missouri, those are the two animals that we're focused on. And it's a great place for songbirds and everything else. Squirrels, you have a lot more nut production. Well, why do you have more nut production? Well, you thin the trees out. They can produce more acorns now. So those are the areas we focus on for building better habitat for the deer. And then on buck habitat, I mean, you can go in there and do a small clear cuts and open that up, and you're gonna have a ton of sprouts. Deer need new sprouts coming up. Okay?
Okay. In your opinion on using a what is your opinion on using a forestry mulcher versus a dozer to clean out brush and saplings?
Forestry mulcher, so what you're talking about is a machine that goes on, well, the really big ones are on what they call a track hoe. It's a huge machine. It's got big wide tracks on it, and it's got this basically a brush grinder on a hydraulic head, and it just goes down on top of the tree and chews the whole tree up right down to the stump. And the big ones actually grind the stump down below the ground. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's an extremely effective way to clear brush, but it's extremely expensive. We're talking probably around $10,000 an acre to do that, depending, of course, how thick the brush is and how big the trees are. I can go in and do the same thing on a lot cheaper scale, the chainsaw, a set of grapples on a tractor, or if you got a really small area, by hand, just stack the brush. Yes, you're gonna have a stump when you're done. But folks, these mulcher heads, you're talking some pretty pricey machinery right there. And you don't want to try and own it. You gotta hire it out.
Can you rent it?
I
mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you can get it. Well, you could get a skid steer, I guess, and go rent a mulcher head. Matter of fact, we checked that out. It's $3,500 a month for a mulcher head. Now, you still got to get the skid steer, though.
Right. And
that's going to cost you probably another, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 a month to rent that. So, and then you got to run it. You got to run it. There's some things people know how to do, and you don't. And I think you need to hire that out.
Yeah, and you need to check your wallet.
Darn right. Starting out, folks, you can spend a lot of money on making just little areas in your timber that's not going to pay you back. But if you can go in with a chainsaw in the wintertime when there's nothing else going on and start clearing out the junk trees and keep working on that area each year, before long you're going to have a really nice silvopasture in there, and it's not going to break the bank to do it. And you haven't disrupted a bunch of soil. That's what I like about it. So, yeah, well, Jan, thanks for sharing those with us, and those are great questions, by the way. And keep the comments coming, folks. I do the best I can to answer what I can of them, and I like the dialogue, back and forth. That way everybody learns, and we'll be seeing some of you at the grading school coming up here in a week or so, and everyone have a good one. See you down the road.